Sirius XM will be doing a Patrice O'Neal tribute on Friday at 3:30. It'll be hosted by Ron Bennington. So they posted this on Instagram. This Friday on SXM 103 at 3:30, Patrice O'Neal, A Life in Comedy. Also airing at 8 p.m. on Friday on Comedy Greats 94 with the Patrice stand-up special airing immediately after. Hosted by Ron Bennington. So the guest will be Big J. Okerson, Will Sylvance, Rich Voss, Keith Robinson, Bob Kelly, Tom Papa, David Tell, D.L. Hughley, Bonnie McFarlane, Michael Che, Jim Florentine, Craig Robinson, and Jim Norton. Isn't Craig Robinson the black guy from like Hot Tub Time Machine in The Office? Yeah, I think so. Now, originally, Jim Norton wasn't going to be on this, and it was going to be Nick DiPaolo, but then they fired Nick DiPaolo, so they put Jimmy on this instead. So this should, I think, be pretty cool, getting all these comedians. I think they're all going to be like, they're probably going to do it at like a comedy club or something, right? But yeah, this seems like this should be pretty good, and they're going to play a bunch of Patrice stuff. They've got the video over on, it's just like an intro video of Patrice talking about stuff over on Ron Bennington's Instagram. I wonder if any of the dudes who like stream Jim and Sam, if they're going to stream this. Hopefully they would, but yeah, I find this to be pretty dope. I like the fact that they keep doing tributes and benefits to Patrice. Ever since that whole debacle of the documentary. What did that documentary guy say? He said, I think he had a falling out with Vaughn, Patrice's girlfriend. And like, no, he didn't have a fallout with her. I got the story wrong for a second. She is still shopping it. But what that guy said, the guy who was going to do the documentary, said a bunch of the big names backed out. Basically meaning the way you sell a documentary or something and get funding for it is you're going to pitch it, right? So, or sell it for someone to distribute. And basically, in the pitch meeting, he said he's going to have all these celebrities who said yes. Like Kevin Hart, like Chris Rock. But then when it came time to shoot the interviews and stuff, Kevin Hart and Chris Rock said no. So, but he did do a bunch of the interviews, and I believe Tef Patton threw them up on his channel. I think they're called the I'm Better Than You interviews, and it's got like, Opie didn't do one either. But Jim Norton and Anthony did, and Bob Kelly and Rich Voss and all those guys, so. But I like the fact that there's still tributes, keeping the man's legacy alive. Don't you wish? Here's the craziest thing, though, and this might would have probably pissed off Patrice. He's way more famous and popular now than at the time. I mean, at the time, I liked him, and O&A fans liked him, but not that many people outside of that liked him too much. I mean, there weren't YouTube channels with like 50,000 subscribers that just uploaded Patrice O'Neal talks about this or his opinion on this. Like, those didn't exist back then. So, I wonder if he would probably be pissed. He'd be like, you motherfucking being, y'all loving me when I'm dead? That would totally be what Patrice would be on. But, yeah, so, Friday at 3:30. I'll definitely be checking this out. I think Ron Bennington hosting, great job. I don't have a problem with any of the comedians being there. One would think Bonnie McFarlane, but she knew Patrice. I'm glad everyone that got there knew him. Because like Craig Robinson knew him because they worked in the office together. So this should be very, very, very interesting. So Friday on channel 103, Sirius XM, go ahead and check out the Patrice O'Neal, A Life in Comedy. Is it like a tribute? It's not a benefit, is it? Yeah, I think it's just like a tribute. But a lot of great comedians. David Tell with his classic line. Get the donating. We need to buy a purple suit and a giant coffin. But yeah, so check that out on Friday. This is a little weird. So I'm looking at the names on here and the fact that it's being hosted by Ron Bennington. By the way, this is technically an edit because I was going to upload this video and then as I was reading the names, I was like, doesn't this seem like a little messed up that Opie and Anthony will not be part of this tribute? I mean, pretty much 90% of the audio of Patrice O'Neal is from the Opie and Anthony show. All the stories they're probably going to tell about Patrice, or all of our memories mainly, are from him on the Opie and Anthony show. And then even when you look down these names, Rich Voss, Keith Robinson, Bob Kelly, David Tell, Jim Florentine, Jim Norton, they all came from the Opie and Anthony show. Like, it's just very weird. Like, I know Opie would never do it. Anthony would if you invited him to go to it, but I don't think Patrice would agree to have a tribute to him on Sirius XM while the SiriusXM fired Opie and Anthony and won't let them in the building. Like, something tells me Patrice would have rolled with Opie and Anthony, or just Anthony or just Opie, and not SiriusXM. Like, it just seems a little weird. I was just going over the names and thinking about putting the whole tribute in perspective, and it's like, but he was on the Opie and Anthony show, and like, Opie and Anthony are still alive, but, like, you fired them, and, like, now you're going to have a tribute, or what, are you going to play audio of him on the Opie and Anthony show? I don't know, it's just a weird feeling I had about it, like, just invite Opie and Anthony, goddamn. But, yeah, I guess so, whatever, it's just, I'm just looking at it, like, Ron Bennington. All right, he did what? Patrice did Ron and Fez, what, twice? And he did the Unmasked with Ron, okay. Rich Voss, their friends and all that. But this whole thing would only exist, this tribute and knowing of Patrice O'Neal, really, because of Opie and Anthony. I just find it odd that they've been fired and, like, but we're just moving on, off of the backs of Opie and Anthony. Meaning, I've said this before about Jim and Sam. Their call-in number is still the Opie and Anthony call-in number. Like, basically, what I still think SiriusXM did is they're trying to hold on to the Opie and Anthony audience without having to pay Opie and Anthony because they made the most money. And I like... that little part of it still, like, kind of pisses me off because this will be hosted and ran by SiriusXM, that they fired Opie and Anthony, but they still want to use their guest, the people who work for their show, and, like, still rely on that audience. But whatever. I don't know. It's just a thought I had, but check out the thing Friday.